Well, good morning, everyone. I wanted to talk today about what our plan is for October. And a lot of you have already received a touch point on improving problem handling. And the main thing is, what I've noticed is that a lot of you still need to go through the problem handling work in Frontline. So I wanted to kind of share a little bit of ideas on how to do that. So first off, I want to really thank all of you for doing such a great job in September on recognition. All of you are doing really well. Many of you improved. A lot of you are above 85%. I want to thank you for that. And I know that you can have the same kind of success with problem handling if we just put our nose to the grindstone and really work on it. So let's talk about what the plan is for October. So some of you may have or already have started to receive some visits from our specialists via phone calls or our quality service specialist to help out with sleep scores and other things. I don't want you to confuse this problem handling with that. These are totally separate things. They are calling you to help out on other metrics, trying not to overload you so that you hopefully won't be getting too many different people calling you, but I want to make sure that if you do get a call from them, treat them with respect, realize that they're taking time to talk to you and to help you to improve your scores too. So keep on working on recognition as number 2. I mean, that's something that I have a feeling that sometimes we kind of concentrate over here on this thing and we forget about that thing over there. So I know that you all have different targets, but let's all shoot for at least 85% on recognition. So some of those specialists might be calling you on that. And third, if you're already over 85, then our next step is to keep that going, but let's work on problem handling. So I've chosen all of you guys because I want to keep it simple. And the plan is to work on our frontline problem handling. A lot of you, though, when I talk about frontline, some people will say, well, you mean Lobster Inc.? Because when you do sign into Frontline, you go into Lobster Inc., you get the little lobster logo. And it's an education company that's really out there just to serve the hospitality industry. But it can be a little bit overwhelming when you get into Lobster Inc. and you are Frontline and you look at how do I get started on this next set of classes. So it's all part of developing your team, developing that culture of service and helpfulness at the property. So there's a little quote from Albert Einstein: insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And so we always should be evolving, always be trying to do better and creating personal development for our staff. And that's what I'm doing for you guys, hopefully, here too. Oops. Training. So there's a lot of different ways you can get training. There's virtual and in-person training. You might get it from some of our specialists. You might find your own training in Merlin. You might have your own ownership corporate training. You might get training from me or Frontline. Frontline is exactly what it says. It's for the frontline staff. There's lots of different training available in there. But when you get in there, there's so much stuff. I mean, there's stuff on how to have better bar service or food and beverage, which doesn't affect all of you. So how do you take care of it? How do you finish it off? And it's really like, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. So I've done is helped you to kind of break it into some smaller chunks. Why problem handling? Well, I'm going to show you something here too. I'm going to bring this over so you can take a look at this. But what happens to your score when people experience a problem? This is overall in my region, 88.54 for guests who didn't have a problem. Now that's pushing our scores for torchbearer. In some of your cases, that would be torchbearer. For people who have problems, the score is much, much lower. We can improve that score. 51 is very low, and that's for overall. And you can see at the bottom, overall service impression. When you have a problem, 72.55, 94.47 when they don't have a problem. So I guess the first thing is make sure they don't have problems, right? But when they do, how do we take care of it? And so we apply the I-LEAD principles, which are identify, listen, empathize, apologize, and deliver a solution. And I would add follow up. But we want to learn how to handle some of those common issues that guests complain about. So when you go into the course outline, you'll see that there's a ton of information on problem handling in Frontline. It seems a little bit overwhelming. When I first looked at it, it says that it takes an hour and 55 minutes, but you know, you might not know because you haven't done it, but when you send somebody over to do it, it's going to take more than 2 hours because as part of Frontline, there are assessments, that must be approved, must be completed before you can move to the next level. So we broke it down into a bunch of different series. And actually what I've done, and you probably already saw it, I sent this to you in the previous email, is a checklist so that you can break it down by day. So the supervisor is going to complete the blue sections, and that's the supervisor briefing and debrief on every single section. In other words, before they start the training, you talk to them for a couple minutes. Hey, here's what you're doing today. And then after they're done, they talk a little bit about, hey, what did you learn? Okay, what did you learn today? So it's just, the first section is just a pre-assessment to identify where they're at. Then there's an introducing problem handling section, understanding problem handling, and then a little debrief. Day 2, supervisor briefing, and there's another assessment, and it's at the end. And it could take, I have 5 minutes, but it could take less, it could take longer. And that's why some of these segments are only 19 minutes. It could take somebody half an hour with a few interruptions, or they feel that they've taken their time. The video is 3 minutes long, but there's time in between the videos, and then time for the assessment, which again could be less time or more time than 5 minutes on average. When I took them, it's about 5 minutes long. And then day 3, there's no assessment, but you still do the brief and debrief. It's breaking up the I lead section. And this is perfectly up to you whether you want to change the schedule. You could say, I want to get this done in a shorter time. So on day 3 and 4, we say one's about 20 minutes, the other one's about 25 minutes. If you said, hey, I'm going to give you an hour to finish up 3 and 4, and you're scheduling it over here. So you could put in the date that they are due to do that. So you could say, I want you to do this on day 3, but I want you to do this on day 3 also. It's up to you. Then on day 5, we actually have the final part of that, delivering the solution. There's 2 parts to delivery solution. This is only a 16-minute one. But again, the idea here is that you're not overwhelming them on every single day and doing all at once, because I don't think that's super effective, honestly, to throw everything at somebody all at once and then expect them to follow up and do it. If you break it up a little bit, I think it'll sink in a little bit more, gives them time to understand it, and it might be easier for you on your schedule. Then day 7, you can see that, I'm sorry, I didn't skip over day 6. There's common scenarios. Timing-wise, you could do all of these in less than a half an hour, but you're watching every single one and going through them afterwards, so it could take longer. Or you could just choose 3 that are best fit your property. When you go through as a supervisor and determine what is in this that you would like to do, you might say that one doesn't affect us. So do the ones that affect you. Day 7 is the common scenarios assessment and supervisor debrief. Again, you could combine these 2 if you like. That last assessment takes a little longer. There's 40 questions instead of the typical 5 to 20 questions. So I put 15 minutes down for that. And then there's a post-assessment test. This is the important one right here. This one has to be completed so that you can get credit for finishing the course. Has to be at 80% or above, or you have to redo it. So make sure that they know what they're doing when they're going through it. Now, on day 9, the supervisor is going to review and input all the assessments and make sure that everybody gets credit for taking the class. And then there might be some leader coaching. Let's go through what you've learned. And this is really where it's going to cement it in their minds. When the supervisor or GM is taking time, 15 minutes, go over, what did you learn? What did you get the most of? How are you going to change your actions in the future when you have a problem? What would you do differently to cement this into this? It's not just something that you checked off the list and say completed. This is something that's going to change behaviors so that you do something different in the future and get better scores. And then after that, the follow-up part is 2 weeks later, you're going to review your problem handling score in your office or somewhere, identify positive stories, share some of those good stories. And I'm going to do the same. After you complete this month, I'm going to look for stories and share them in my newsletters of what you've done and how it's made a difference to you. And then have a front desk meeting to talk about it with everybody once everybody's completed and share those great stories. So that's the checklist. Nice and easy. It's broken down for you in each section, and you can go and complete it. Hopefully that's helpful for you, gives you a little breakdown of how to do it. Again, you can change the schedule how you want, how it fits your needs. If you want to break it up into 2 days, you can. Just realize that how long it takes to do each section. If you add up all those times, it's more than 2 hours. So it gives you a launch time to complete depending on your department. It's designed for brief leadership coverage. In other words, the front desk person, manager, or GM watches the front desk for 30 minutes. Or you could overlap schedules. You could have a 7 to 3 person come in from 7 to 3:30, and they can stay a little half an hour longer and finish up the module. Or again, 3:30 to 11 to come in at 2:30 and start a little early on just the modules in the back office. I wouldn't have them do it at the front desk. Too many distractions, too many things. I mean, they're doing their job at the front desk. There might be time in the middle of the day, though, where you can say, you know what, you got 15 minutes. If you have time, let's get this done. I just prefer, though, and I would think you would prefer that they would have be on less distractions. Or you could do it all at an all-associate meeting, and I've heard people who do that. Facilitate the modules, walk them through it, show the videos, and then have them each go through and do the assessments. The big thing to make sure this works is that verify they're all completed. Catch your employees modeling the behavior that was taught during frontline. You know, listen to them, find out what they're telling you in their feedback, share those positive success stories. Constantly check for understanding. When you have an issue, go up to the front desk and see how the front desk handles it. Are they listening? Most importantly, this is the hardest part for everybody, I think. Are they showing empathy? Are they saying, if I were you would feel the same way? Or you have every right to be upset because that isn't the way we want you to be treated. Not just apologizing, but showing that you understand. That is the most important part of problem handling, in my opinion. Fixing it is the easy part. Apologizing should be easy too. Listening should be easy. But the hard part for most service people is empathy, mainly because they've heard the complaint or issue over, and this is not the first time they've heard about internet issues, or they're not the first time they've had a key not work. But they should treat it like it's the first time, and they should empathize as if it was them having that same issue. If I went all the way up to my room, my key didn't work, and I had to lug my stuff all the way back to the front desk and get a new key, it seems simple, because all you have to do is give them a new key. Hey, problem solved. But you should empathize. I'm sorry. If I went all the way up to my room and it didn't work, I'd be upset, and I apologize for that. Let me get you a new key. But, you know, I'm going to have somebody walk up there to make sure this works. It's not the door lock or something else. So make sure that you do go overboard when there's a problem. And then keep track of your social reviews and medallia for success. And together we're all going to improve and do a better job on problem handling. I know a lot of you are working on it. It's hard. We all have problems, and we all have issues at hotels. Even torchbearers have problems, so don't feel bad when you have a problem, but how we take care of it will really, really improve our score. So thanks for taking time to listen. Thanks for doing the frontline class this month, and let's take a look and see how it works out. All right, thanks. Talk to you soon.